Hello, Marcus here, Snowcat Fun with, I really want to do an update. This is going to be part 4 for my Huina 573 or Top Race TR212 RC dump truck modifications. And I really wanted to clarify a little bit. There have been some comments and questions about really, I showed the back half and doing all the modifications to the back half of the truck with my adapter plate, making the adapter plate, adding the WPL frame and the Huina dump truck top half. So what I wanted to do now, I really did not discuss taking apart the front half or mounting the front half of the cab from the Huina onto the WPL frame. But I would like to clarify that my frame started out, this truck was actually a RC 16th scale 6-wheel drive military truck. And I want to say it had a horrible, really horrible steering system, radio control system. Here's basically the controller that it came with, steering here and the throttle here. It was horrible. So all of that got updated when I started to use my Fly Sky transmitter and use it. So anyway, so some of the updates, the whole front end had to get updated. So here's basically my update. This is the frame. I had to put in a micro servo and a new frame, front half of the frame here, and a servo mount. So this is part of the update. Basically this comes, let me show you here. This is a kit, a frame kit that comes with the holders for your servo and the frame divider, and you mount all this together, and then you get rid of all that RC steering and undercarriage garbage. And then you would actually, as part of this modification, you've got your steering linkage, your front end. Basically, you got to put your front end here in, and then you have linkages. And then it comes, I've got a linkage kit right here. So this is my linkage kit that I put on. And then, of course, with the servo, I had extra linkages here with my micro servo, and then I could modify or cut and clip and add and modify those to my basically RC, or you could say the WPL 16th scale military truck. So that undercarriage. But now we have to mount this Huina cab on this frame. So the question was, really, how did I do that? And so I wanted to kind of cover that a little bit more in depth, basically do that today. And that's going to be my part 4. So what I have here, I'm going to set this back down here, our frame, and then we'll kind of use that to show you how everything goes together. And so we're going to go ahead, I'm going to turn this up. And so right here, these 4 fasteners is all that hold this Huina cab to this frame. That is it. So now you can see right here. So I'm going to raise this up so you can see it a little better. So it's these 4 fasteners that I used. And here's the new linkage, my rear end, the steering rear end, the servo down here, my micro servo. That is all of this right here. And then the undercarriage and the steering axle is all part of basically the WPL or RC truck. So what I want to just show you, I'm not going to go through all the machining, but what I want to do is I want to take this and show you how I basically laminate I've got bar stock on the top and bar stock on the bottom, and I laminate this together to hold the cab in place. So we're going to take this out and show you my blocks that I used to mount this. So, and I've already showed you, and this is how I mount my cab or my front cover. I use the magnets to mount my front cover, so I have magnets on the front cover and the front of the truck, and that's what holds that in place instead of using screws. So if you look right here, I have, this is a piece of bar stock right here. That is 1/4 inch by 1 inch wide, and then this bar stock is 1/4 inch by 1 inch wide, and that is laminated between the frame, which is right over here and here. So I'm going to take these out and just show you how those go together. I'll try to make room here so that we can see how this all is done. So I have these, the top plate, the top bar is threaded and tapped for these 2 screws, the top bar is, and then these go through, and as part of this, let me get this out again, as part of this kit, there are 2 spacers in here. And these spacers, as part of this kit, were perfect for the width of the frame to keep that from crushing the frame. So right here, I have these adapters that go into the bottom bar that I use to mount, and this keeps me from crushing the frame in. It keeps me from crushing the frame in when I tighten the screws. So let's take this apart and I'll show you how this all goes together. So we're going to take these are really long fasteners here that go into those spacers. So there's 1, 2. Now this goes into the top block. So my top block now is loose, and so those are the screws. Let's pull this top block out now. If I can get it to come out of here. So now if you look at this, this is my 1/4 inch by 1 inch wide. So we got our mic here. So I cut this, so if we turn this on here, and I cut this to 2 inches, 164 thousandths of an inch long. So it's 1 inch wide by 1/4 inch thick. So I drilled the holes and threaded these directly into this bar. So these are threaded directly into the bar. So now I can put my screws in from the top. So the long screws go through this, the next plate into this set, and it goes through these 2 holes right here. And these 4 fasteners, like I say, they are the only 4 fasteners that hold the entire cab in place. And it's enough, and it holds the cab on very securely. All right, so now we have that bar. Now we're going to take the next one off. And this is going to release the entire cab, and I hope I can get this all put back together. I haven't had this apart since I put it together. So these are shorter screws. Now the cab is loose from the frame. There's nothing else holding that cab on there. And we're going to take this bar out. This is my next bar. If I get it out, it's all kind of tight here. Tight fit. I got the other one off. Let's get this one out. There we go. Okay, so this is the one that goes on the bottom of the frame. Okay, so this is the top of the frame. So this is basically on the bottom of our frame. And this is the top of the frame. And then this is our 4 fasteners that hold the entire cab in place with these 4 screws. So if I were to put this together now, I'll take the long ones and put them in first. So those long ones go through into those spacers. Thread this in, and that would be holding the cab. The cab is right under, sitting solidly on this. And then there's the next one. So now you can see how this is kind of laminated together, and I hope I can get my cab all put back together here. And then these 2 go just directly into the cab, and they're threaded right here. So you can see how this is kind of laminated all together. And so these fasteners would be the ones that hold the cab on. It's just those 4 screws, and the entire cab now, the entire cab is held in place by those 4 fasteners and this laminated together, sandwiching this frame. But these spacers keep you from over tightening these fasteners and crushing the frame. So that's why you have to have those spacers there to keep you from crushing this frame when you clamp that all together. So if I continue here, you can see if I tighten this all up, it won't crush the frame. It doesn't crush the frame or bend the frame, and now it's tightly mounted on the frame. And that is really how I mounted my cab, the Huina cab, on the WPL frame. So that was some of the questions that I had, and I thought I would go in a little more in depth how I did that, to show everybody that this is just all that holds that cab in place. It's those 4 fasteners in these 4 holes, and that is it. So we're going to take this back, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to see if we can piece this together. And I did want to kind of keep this a short video. The last one was a little bit long, so I wanted to keep this as kind of a short video here. So let's put this all back together. See if it'll all go back together now. So I tried to keep that fairly simple. And like I say, there are no other fasteners that hold that cab in place. Right now it's kind of leaning on those, all the wiring sitting on my boxes, or my 3D printed battery box, and so on. So we're going to put this top plate back in first, if I can get it in. Kind of had a little difficulty getting it out. Let's see if we can get it back in fairly easy without breaking or damaging something. Whoops, now I'm kind of stuck here. There we go. Okay. I think I'm just about there. Well, maybe not. Well, okay, I think that's it. Nope. All right, there it is. Okay, so now we have to put the short fasteners in and hold that all in position here. And I'll apologize for being in the road here. All right, right there's one. Line this up. All right, so that bar reinforces the plastic, the full width right here. So that's part of the reason I put that complete bar in there as a way to reinforce the plastic and hold that in place. Okay, so we'll snug those. We're not going to tighten them because we're going to have to get that bottom set of screws in here. So now this bar goes on the underside, or which would really be the top of our frame. So I'm going to hold this in place with my pliers. There we go. Underneath and underneath or on top. Kind of get this lined up. Start a fastener. And when this is all put together correctly, the front of that bar is flush with the front of the frame. That's how I set this up to get it all aligned. And that's how I get my clearance all set up here for my steering axle. So I have to move this back slightly, and I get this flush, this bar flush with the front of the frame. And that's my alignment right there. And now I can snug this up, snug this one up, snug this one up, and this one. And that is all that holds the lower half of this cab in place. Because the front or the top half here, now that we've got it right side up, is just basically, this is just snaps on. It's been on and off so many times, it does snap on and off pretty easy. There we go. My big head out of the way. And so that really is what holds this in place. Now, I did have a question here, or a comment, wanted to quiz me a little bit about all these counterweights that were in the front here, and those counterweights are really, really heavy. And the question was, or the comment was, did I have to add any additional weight up here into the front to keep this, when it starts dumping, to keep this from tipping up? And the answer was no. With all the weight that I have up here in the front, I didn't have any problems. There's no weight inside the cab at all, and I haven't had any issues with the truck tipping over or tipping back when I unload the bed, even though but my thing is my bed does tip up a little higher than the original truck does. So originally also, let me turn this all back off. All right, micrometer's off. There was all of this mounting hardware in here that I used. I've got a little razor saw, and I cut off all this material to make room for my battery box and all the electronics in here. So that's basically, and by the time I added all this on here, my spare tire carrier, all the things that I've added up here on the front, including this aluminum bar as part of the servo and the servo, all of this, all that added here, and those two aluminum bars, those 1-inch bars, those spacer bars, all of that weight so far has been enough to keep the truck from flipping back when I dump the truck out. So I hope you enjoyed this part 4. You can see how the cab interlocks here, and then this goes in, keys in, and then the magnets here in this front cover, instead of using the screw holes right here just to put your battery in and out, I just thought that was horrible. So anyway, I used the magnets on the front here and here, rare earth magnets, and that tightly holds. You can see how that actually, it literally snaps in place. And that's what holds that front cover on versus using screws. So I hope you enjoy this installment. We got still about 25 minutes here of time. Please give us a thumbs up, like, and subscribe. Again, thank you for watching this part 4 of our Huina to WPL truck modifications. Thank you.